One day in January 1967, John Lennon wandered into an antique shop in Sevenoaks, Kent, and saw a poster advertising a circus performance, which took place in 1843. He bought it, but it was also a gift.
Practically all the lyrics of Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite come from this flyer.
For the benefit of Mr. Kite.
Don't shout it out though, John, just mouth it.
Well, all right.
Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite is Sgt. Pepper's most obvious musical tribute to a bygone era. Ironically, though, it's also one of its most technologically challenging. To grasp how ingenious George Martin and his team were on this song, we need to understand just how limited recording resources were in 1967.
These days, thanks to digital recording, you can create as many layers of sound on top of each other as you like, as separate recordings all fitting together. Hundreds, if you want.
But all that George Martin and the Beatles had available to them was a princely 4 separate tracks on one magnetic tape.
What they frequently did was use up all 4 tracks on tape machine number 1, then make a mix of those 4 and record it, or bounce as it's known in the trade, onto one track of the 4 available on tape machine number 2.
So in Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, for example, the first 4 tracks were used up by 1, Paul's bass, 2, John's guide vocal, 3, Ringo's drums, and 4, George Martin playing a harmonium. Except for the guide vocal, which was ditched, these were mixed and then bounced down to one track of the second machine, and so the process went on.
What? Oh, yeah, we're all on different tracks. Yeah, all the time.
Why don't they just all play at once then, you might ask? The reason is that the song was being created layer by layer, and some sections of it simply couldn't be done by live performance. For example, the bit where Henry the Horse dances the waltz.
To capture this talented animal's pirouetting star turn, what was needed was a way to suggest the atmosphere of an old-fashioned circus purely in music. John told George Martin he wanted to smell the sawdust. A fairground organ sound was decided on, but calliopes, or calliopes as they're known, aren't played from a keyboard. They're operated by punch cards like a player piano. Instead of using one of these straight, George Martin gathered together as many taped recordings of them as he could find and asked his assistant, Geoff Emerick, to chop them up into 1-second fragments, throw them in the air and stick the pieces together again in a kind of random musical patchwork quilt. This is the result.
You could describe it as an early manifestation of sound sampling, now ubiquitous, and it works brilliantly. Henry the Horse's waltz now has a strikingly surrealistic, archly comic tone, a wonderful kind of movie in sound, which an existing Calliope tune could never have conjured up.